If you see a hung cow, that is not a cow.
That got weird.
I would not recommend milking that cow.
I need to send you something.
Oh no!
Oh!
What have I done?
When things are wrong, I'll be by your side. Even when you want to cry.
Stop it!
Welcome
Welcome
to the Naked Apple offline. Yeah.
Love it when the internet decides to just go AWOL.
So hopefully all the stuff we have planned is going to work because
It won't.
Johnny Sunshine over there.
You're welcome.
Thank you to all of our...
bothered anyway.
We'd like to give a big thank you to all our Rumble viewers out there.
Oh, yes.
All 4 of you that watched whatever movie...
Mashing that Rumble button.
Whatever video qualified us to get some Rumble points.
It was great. We appreciate it.
All 4 of you.
All 4 of you.
Don't worry, you'll get a gold star delivered personally by Keith.
Not because the rest of us don't care.
But
That's all I had to say.
Just
I
because.
wasn't adding a but to that.
Just
I was
because.
Just saying. Not
Just
because
because.
the rest of us don't.
You draw your own conclusions from there. That's how we interact with our audience. Leave you hanging.
Well, we got to leave them wanting more, right? That's what I was always told.
Problem is, there is no more most of the time.
That's it. That's all.
That's it. That's all there is. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. That's all we came here for.
It's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's a good 15 minutes of content jammed into there.
Yeah. 15 minutes of content jammed into a whole hour. So that's how long we've been sitting here trying to get the internet working.
I guess since because of that, do you still have your...
I do.
Oh, we do.
I had it prepared beforehand.
We do.
We're okay.
We
We're ready.
can have a chuckle, a laugh, and a cry.
A small one.
A small one.
Just a tiny chuckle.
a minor dose. A not extra strength,
No.
but over the counter dose
Of Claritin. Wait.
of your vitamin B.
Welcome to your vitamin B.
Thank you.
We have news for you this week. Not
would
much news because the internet's out, but we have some news for you this week.
So is that part of the news, or is
Yes, it is part of the news. Elon Musk has broken my internet by rebranding Twitter simply as X. After
You fool! You killed us all!
after his company's CEO rejected his first choice, 69 boobies 420.
I don't think the investors will like that. Fine, call it X.
Call it X. In other news, Ben Shapiro delivers scathing Barbie review to confused Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru attendant.
Took all of 2 seconds with how fast he talks.
Rob me of all joy, he said.
Rob me of all joy.
which is shocking to anybody who's ever watched him, since it doesn't seem like he had any left to rob. In other news, speaking of people with joy full, ready to rob, winner of $1 billion Powerball jackpot, excited to finally be able to afford an apartment in L.A.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. That's big.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of L.A.,
Does that come with or without the poop cleaning?
yes. Hollywood strike enters third month of proving world doesn't need Hollywood.
Wait, there's a strike going on?
Apparently. Nobody noticed. Which just shows how worthwhile all of their salaries actually were.
You two are still living?
Speaking of people deserving salaries, conservatives dismayed to wake up and find out that they have to defend Jason Aldean's music.
This is not the hill I wanted to die on, but it is the hill I find myself on.
In their defense, the most offensive thing about Jason's new song is the fact that they're referring to it as country music.
That's true. That is, yes. Yes.
Which leads into being against crime has been added to the list of things that are racist. Who would have thought?
I don't think they've thought their arguments through on that one.
Nope. We're proud to announce a national hero.
Ooh.
Biden,
Oh.
as he announces he will donate the rest of his bribe money to charity.
Oh.
What a man.
Wait, the Clinton Foundation, right? Dang it.
Probably.
Dang it.
But, unfortunately, in the other wing, McCarthy says the 783rd impeachable offense by Biden will be the last straw.
This is my red line.
Just gotta draw that line in the sand one more time.
If you cross this line.
This has been your Vitamin B.
It's good.
Wow.
Good.
That was intense.
I loved listening to the Jason Aldean arguments of why it's racist, and I stopped and wondered, are you saying that rampant crime is part of black culture, or
Yeah. I had one of my friends go on an absolute tirade about it on Facebook the other day. He was if you think that the new lyrics to that song by Jason Aldean are accurate, I'm laughing at you. And then he went on like 3 paragraphs of why people that like the song are ridiculous and all this different stuff. And I was just like, the fact that you care enough to write an essay on Facebook to a bunch of people who really don't give a shit what you think,
who probably never heard of Jason Aldean until this moment,
who are now going to go listen to it and then get in the comments and argue with you. I'm laughing at you.
Not only that, but it probably would not be as number one as it is if it weren't for people like him.
Yes, exactly. I know. That was actually, funny enough, that was the thing that inspired me to actually finally go listen to the song.
Right?
Because he's like, I'm laughing at you. And I'm like, well, I wonder why. And I like listen to this song and I'm like, yeah, no, I grew up in a small town in Idaho. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And race is not mentioned at all in
No.
the lyrics. It's
No.
just saying if you try any of this crazy stuff in a small town, it's the F around find out factor
Yes.
applies heavily.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Well, it was funny because one of his arguments was, well, the people that live in rural small towns like that, what do they do during the day? They go to work in the city, and there's nobody there to do these things in the middle of the day when somebody breaks the law. And I'm like, you've obviously never been to a small town because they don't leave to go work in the city most of the time. Most of them are farmers or ranchers, and most of them could shoot the dude from a mile away.
And they have the land to hide the body. And they're best friends with the sheriff who wouldn't care anyway.
Yeah. Seriously. So
he's doing what? Oh yeah, that's fine.
it's like, well, and then one of the things I saw was like a small town of 50,000 people, and I'm like, that's not a small town.
Not small.
That's a small city. It's a small city. That's not a small town.
You could call that a town, maybe, but not small town.
No. No. When you're talking small town, you're like at the most a couple of thousand people.
How big was the city you grew up in, Mike?
We had a population of 210.
Wow, that is
think.
small.
I don't. It was. My graduating class would have been the biggest class to ever graduate from my high school. We had 31 students.
Wow.
And so the school didn't cover just our town. It covered
The county.
Well, not quite the county.
31.
Almost.
Not quite the county because there were like 3 or 4 cities in our county.
Oh, gotcha.
But it covered a good 4 or 5 towns right there. Stretching from the border of Utah to Burley, which is roughly... not quite Burley. It was
I know where you're talking.
it was a ways.
There's a whole lot of nothing there.
Several hundred square miles. It took several hundred square miles to encompass enough land to bring together 31 children
for a
my
graduating
age.
class.
For a graduating class.
Wow. Yeah,
For the biggest graduating class to ever go through that school.
Another way to look at it is how many stoplights are in your town.
None.
Yes, so
There were 0
small
stoplights.
Town.
0.
Yes.
There was 1 stop sign.
Yeah.
2. There were 2 stop signs in the town.
really?
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah. I didn't even live in a 1 stoplight town.
the
2 stop signs.
the now city where Keith and I met when I moved there. There was just that stop sign at the Smiths, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Or a blinking red light or something, and that was
No.
it. Now it's a full-on city.
Yeah. No, I moved to Harriman in 95, and for a very small window of time, that was considered a small town. I don't know about small town like your town.
And then the rest of Salt Lake County.
And
found
then
it.
then it was flooded, and now traffic is just terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do we find a place like that now? Because that's where I want to go live.
That's where I'm living right now.
In Heber?
Yeah, it's close enough that you can still get city stuff,
Yeah.
but it's far enough where it's crazy that there's 2 subways and that's what there's 2 of. The only thing that there's 2 of is there's 2 subways and one's in a gas station and one's just this little tiny building.
No,
Yeah, but you guys have the Dairy King, and
It's delicious.
That is entirely its own monster.
Yes.
So
It's delicious.
yeah. It also has a train, which I really like.
we didn't have a restaurant in our town. We had the fuel depot.
Fuel. Pick up some jerky sticks and
which was just a gas station run by a local family that would go to Walmart in town once a week and buy frozen burritos to feed us during lunch.
why are these so overpriced? Oh. It's fourth party vendor. Gotcha.
See, You bought a $4 pack of burritos that you then came back and sold for $1 a piece? Actually, they were 50 cents, but they were delicious. It's fine. A little bit of homemade ranch dressing with it.
Best
Great.
50 cents I ever spent.
Anyway, I digress.
Small towns are fun.
Small towns are fun. I miss my small town. Life was a lot simpler then.
Oh. The email has a countdown to when it's connecting. I doubt it will connect in
It's
the time
not
that it's
going
saying.
to actually connect at that time. It might
How bold
overheat
of you
and
to assume.
explode, though.
Oh, it's connecting to the bomb that will explode. Gotcha. Okay. Well then, in that time, we'll make it as fun as we can. With a rundown of this week's bushel of stuff.
Okay, Shatner. With a rundown of this week's stuff.
Stuff. I wasn't even trying to do that. I'm actually mad that I didn't catch it. Dang it! And it starts with a little ditty.
I can't just let you shat all over this podcast without pointing it out.
Need a shirt now with a silhouette of Shatner. Can't let you shat all over this podcast.
Let the shatting begin. It's gonna be 4 words all spaced out really, really wide.
No.
I shat you.
No.
Not.
The shatning.
The shatning. Oh, gosh.
Keith is trying really hard to not find this humorous.
He's already stated he doesn't get our sense of humor sometimes.
Sometimes I do not. It's true.
Why'd you bring him on? Balance.
Oh,
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
hey, I think we have internet back.
Well, I'm not going to refresh anything just in case.
Yes, please don't.
Oops, it encountered a problem.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Maybe you should refresh it.
So, this week's rundown of the bushel. It starts with a little ditty that goes a little something like whatever button Mike's going to push over there.
Ah. That's all I can play, or else we get sued.
By a country that no longer exists.
How the hell do you trademark something that doesn't exist?
From a nation that didn't care about trademarks.
Copyright infringe this. Talking about things that should get shat upon.
Speaking of that and Soviet whateverness, state-enforced homosexuality.
Wait, what? It's a,
I thought of something very terrible and I can't say it.
why not?
The faggings will continue until morale improves.
Oh.
Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Thank you, Mike. That was what I was thinking this entire time.
What does this button do?
Nazi fags.
Oh, that's right.
Perfect. In California,
Oh, speaking of.
Gavin Newsom, we're hitting all the marks here,
Oh, gosh.
is suing a school district in California because it refuses to teach LGBTQ whatever FU stuff.
We warned you guys about the Gestapo.
Stop it. Get some help.
Print that. The Gestapo. Yeah, they're suing the a fine of $1.5 million after the school board voted to reject state-endorsed curriculum that includes a biography of a gay rights leader. So, yeah, we don't need to teach that in school. Well, you're going to teach it or else you have to pay this fine out of the money that we give you.
Like, who makes those decisions? It's like, no, you will teach this particular person that is a...
Well, see, the state has its Board of Education that decides this is the curriculum that the state must teach. And so any school that receives funding from the state must follow state curriculum.
I don't want to do it, and you can't make me.
That's true.
This particular district is nestled in a actual conservative part of California that, believe it or not, they still exist.
No, there are actually quite a lot of conservative areas in California.
Yeah. And Newsom and his cronies said, no, you must do what we say. I think update to that is the school has since reversed course because they need their $1.5 million. They don't care about principle. They care about the money. If that's not like the ultimate opportunity, just turn it around on Newsom. You know, whoever runs against him later on, or if he runs for president, turn around and say he withdrew funding from schools because they wouldn't teach state-enforced homosexuality.
Well, this is not a mundane detail, Michael.
Yeah, but no, you caved. So now we don't have that talking point. Another school district in Maryland had an opt-out option for parents if parents didn't want their kids to be taught any LGBTFU lessons. And so many parents decided to opt their kids out that the district decided to opt out the opt-out.
Well, pardon me, young man, excuse the shit out of my goddamn French, but did you just threaten me?
Yeah.
So at that point, could the parents opt out of the opt-out of the opt-out?
I see your opt-out, and I raise you another opt-out.
There are not enough middle fingers.
I'm sorry, my kid's going to be sick that day. Well, we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And I don't know exactly when my kid's going to be sick. I just know they're going to be sick that day. Well, you can't opt out of it. I'm not opting out. My child will be sick that day.
Well, there you go.
LGB.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Nothing got past him. His reflexes are too fast. On the flip side of this coin, Ohio has introduced a bill that would ban, it would make it a felony to do sexual tranny dances in public.
Gentlemen, I wash my hands of this weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's controversial because I guess because it specifically in the bill points out that it's harmful to kids. Adult cabaret performances are harmful to juveniles. And people are yelling against it of this is harmful to the trans community and all this stuff. Then wait. You said this isn't happening. And so Ohio introduces a bill to make sure
It doesn't
happen.
But now you're upset.
And now you're upset because, well, it's happening.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
And around we go.
Your circular logic is breathtaking. Also, on that side of the coin, Donald Trump watched a screening of Sound of Freedom. And afterwards, he announced that he would call on Congress to make it a law for the immediate death penalty for child traffickers.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of forgiveness.
That's the sound of people drowning, Carl.
That is what forgiveness sounds like. Screaming and then silence.
Make millstones great again.
That could be the death penalty itself.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. It is also the sound of people drowning.
Someone else the sound of people drowning. Yes.
It's
That's
all
what
of the
forgiveness
above.
sounds like. Screaming and then silence.
It satisfies all of the above.
Yes. I thought it was an optimal choice for that button push.
Perfect even.
Wait,
Yes.
what's the difference between a normal stone and a millstone?
So a normal stone
One
can
stone
be
is used
whatever.
for milling and the other one is just a stone.
Oh.
A millstone is what's usually used by those giant windmills because it's a big, heavy 3, 4, 5,000 pound stone. And according to God, it's better that one of those is hung around your neck and you're crushed in the depths of the sea than to do terrible things to kids. So,
Yeah. It's the best millstones are made from a French burr stone,
I don't care what it's made out of.
which is a type of quartz. It's like a mixture of quartz, sandstone, or granite.
Yes, it's got to be hard, but also rough.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's literally a stone for milling grain.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
yes. They still make them, but really small for your at-home, really loud grinder to grind fresh wheat and whatever else. Otherwise, people use them as yard decorations if they have the money to buy one and transport the heavy son of a pig to their yard.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, depending on the size, it can be thousands of
Didn't
pounds.
we cover last week how California didn't voted against making it even
Yes.
a felony
Yes.
for
Yes.
to traffic children?
Yes. Yes. That was the same California.
Make
Fascinating.
millstones great again.
Make millstones great again. Hey, you remember when we talked about Hunter Biden starting to sell artwork for stupid amounts of money?
Yes. Oh, let me guess. Like there's been
And
a
he
fluctuation
it definitely
in
was
value.
not part of any kind of money laundering thing or buying access to his dad. Or
Was
it
this
definitely
kind
not
of like
any of that?
Was this kind of like when the Clinton Foundation dried up all their donations as soon as
No,
she didn't become president?
No, it's nothing like that. They even assured us that it's through a whole third-party thing, so the Bidens don't even know who buys the paintings, except for they hired a person that bought $875,000 of paintings from Joe Biden. They brought her on board as a special on a special commission. Yeah. What's her name?
Elizabeth Hirsch Nefertali?
That one.
I can see why he just repeated what's her name over and over again.
Yes.
He didn't want to be the one to mess up
She was
that
only
pronunciation.
a major donor to the Biden campaign, and they assure us it has nothing to do with buying the painting or anything like that. She was
It
recommended.
just looks nice.
She was recommended by Nancy Pelosi, who, of course, is above board and completely clean on all of her financials as well.
Hey, how did she become a millionaire again?
Let's see. She served in Congress for 60 some odd years. So something like that, maybe. Yeah. The FBI is upset that Congress would reveal that the FBI was well aware of the Biden crime syndicate activities using the FBI's official documentation from a credible source. How dare they? Senator Chuck Grassley published an FBI document containing an unverified allegation made by a Ukrainian CEO. The Ukrainian CEO filed official paperwork with the FBI and was vetted by the FBI years ago, even when Mike and I were alone doing this and talked about it. All this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden stuff, we already know. We already knew it.
We've known this since the Trump era, like since his first impeachment.
Because this is what he was looking into.
And then they impeached him for it, looking into it. And then they kept saying that was so bad that he looked into that
He
corruption.
did quid pro quo.
And then
says who? Well, says somebody who says they know somebody who says they heard the phone call, who didn't actually hear the phone call, nor was able to produce the contents of the phone call.
The same people who said that it was really bad, that he would go after his political opponents by using government. They elected the same person who did the same thing, but this time we actually have proof of it, and we had proof of it back then. They elected him president.
Just because Joe Biden is on video telling the press that he specifically went to Ukraine to get a special prosecutor fired who was investigating the company that his son was involved with and withholding money from U.S. government to Ukraine until he was fired. Just because he admitted to that on video doesn't mean that he actually did it. Your stunned silence is very reassuring, Wazowski. So while all of that's going on, Utah's fabulous representative, Mitt Romney, had to give his 2 cents in on the whole hearings of the Biden crime syndicate.
I can't wait to hear something profound.
This was his important message during all of that.
Well, as you all know, today is National Hot Dog Day, and perhaps you also know that hot dog is my favorite meat. I love hot dogs. I love them in buns. I love them outside of buns. I love them with baked beans. I just like hot dogs. It's the best, best meat there is, without question. So to all of you who, like me, are celebrating National Hot Dog Day, congratulations to you, and may there be many, many more hot dogs served in our wonderful land. Well, as you...
Yeah, shut up.
Is that a gay pride announcement?
Well, it's his favorite meat. So now we have Pelosi with the hot dog in the purse. And Romney with a hot dog in his hand.
Where do all these national, there's like a national donut day. I feel like I get a email every other day from some corporate saying, hey, it's National Donut Day. It's National French Fry Day. Like, where do all these holidays come from?
People saying that it's that. It's not actually a federal, national, whatever thing.
He said national.
Right, but it's not an actual...
So someone made it up. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to
kind of like the gay month of June.
No, that was actually, I believe that was passed by Clinton. They actually did make it a national something or other. Well, yeah, it's made up, but it was through an act of Congress or something like that.
It's still made up. Yeah. It's okay, though. We're not done with Romney. In case you were worried. He has a battle plan to help with keeping Donald Trump out of office. He suggests that all the GOP mega donors help narrow the 2024 field down to avoid a Trump nomination. Yep. He wants all the big money in there to go against Trump. Because he's definitely not a Democrat. He's a Romneycrat.
Well, aren't Democrats trying to make it so that Trump is the nominee, though?
Despite their best efforts, yes, I think they are.
Yeah.
Strike me down and I will become more powerful than you can ever imagine.
Well, I'm definitely on the DeSantis train. As much as I love Trump's presidency, this doesn't sound like a terrible strategy to me.
Yeah. Romney is still, for whatever reason, bitter against Donald Trump, who he owes everything to for being the senator from Utah, because he barely won being senator of Utah because of Donald Trump. And then he turned around and stabbed him in the back at the most first opportune moment.
No, he was like, I remember his campaign. He's like, oh no, I'll get along with Trump. It'll be fine. And then, he like voted to impeach him and all that sort of stuff.
Right. On the Virginia side of politics, of Senate politics.
Virginia!
A challenger to the Virginia senator. Let's see, who's he running against?
I need the soundbite from Smash Brothers. Challenger approaches.
He's running against Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia. The Democrat is who he's trying to unseat there. Hopeful Senator Hung Cao. I love that name.
Wait. Say that one more time.
Hung Cao.
I love Chinese people too, but come on.
Not Chinese. HUNGCAO.
Oh, not COW.
No, not no.
No. Okay.
If you see a hung cow, it is not a cow.
That got weird.
I would not recommend milking that cow.
I need to send you something.
Oh no.
Oh,
what
no.
have I done?
Oh no.
Anyway, he announced his run with a very powerful, amazing ad for his campaign.
Oh, goody.
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners. Our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go. I'm Hung Cao, retired Navy captain, running for United States Senate. I still believe America can be the land of opportunity. I have an obligation to fight back against those who want to control our lives and disrupt our families. We need real fighters, not politicians, not bureaucrats, not keyboard warriors acting tough in a custom-made suit. No, Not here in America. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must be fearless. I'm Hung Kao. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message because I'm not done fighting for us.
There you go. There you go.
That it was an amazing ad.
That was pretty good.
I wish he was living in Utah.
Couldn't agree more.
I take all kinds of hung cows over a Romneycrat any day.
Yeah, it looks like both of the senators in Virginia are both Democrats.
Yes. Yep. Hopefully he wins. Because he ran for Virginia Congress before, and he barely lost, I think. Oh, he lost by 13 points. Oh, within 7 points. Sorry.
That's still a lot.
Yeah. In 2022. So, he's trying the Senate route instead of the House route. Hopefully. He
pulls it off.
Pulls it off, and he sticks to what he's advertising there. Because be good. Anyways, that's the rundown. Is there something in there you wanted to focus on at all, Keith?
I'm just so tired of the Biden crime family stuff. Can we not talk about that anymore?
I am to the point. So, Keith and I were kind of talking about this off air before Mike got down here. But I am pretty much to the point with all the news headlines and stuff where is Donald Trump in prison? No. Is Joe Biden impeached or being impeached? No. Is Hunter Biden in court going to prison? No. Is what's his name, head of the DOJ? Merrick Garland. Is he being impeached? No. Is Christopher Wray, head of the FBI, being impeached? No. What's the point of any of the headlines? Like we heard on the Babylon Bee, this is the 723rd final straw.
738.
738. My apologies, McCarthy. Give credit where credit is due. Now is the time where we're going to think about probably impeaching him. Well, why don't you impeach him? Well, we don't have the Senate. Okay, so you'll get the Senate when he's no longer president? And then what? Oh, well, he's not president anymore. Let's just...
Well, no, you can declare that a president is impeached if you just impeach them in the House.
Yes, but leave it to the GOP to hold out a selling point.
Even if you did have the Senate, it requires, 66 senators to actually remove a president from office?
2/3.
Yeah, 2/3. So, you wouldn't even be able to achieve that. That's not possible in the current makeup.
Here's what it does, though, if you actually follow through with it. You have as open a trial as you can in the House for it, hearings, whatever it is they do, with all the evidence just splayed out. And then you vote on it, and you send it to the Senate with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you let every Romney Republican and every Gaylord Democrat do their thing, so then we know exactly who actually cares and who doesn't.
Yeah, no. That's what I learned in
then we can't impeach him again because that's the... I don't care. Because at that point, I know who will actually fight.
Yeah.
And then we can get him on civil trials and all that stuff afterwards. How about that?
Anyway,
but no, we gotta dangle the carrot because well, once we get the Senate, once we have control of the Senate, then we can really do this impeachment thing. Then we can really do something about the border. Once we can really get rid of Obamacare once we have control of the Senate. Oh.
Yeah, and Republicans had control of all three branches of government between 2017 and 2018.
And they did
nothing.
Oh, in fact, they actually solidified Obamacare basically forever.
Oh, yeah, that was during that. Oh, gosh.
Thank you,
Stupid
Senator McCain.
Yeah.
Bastard.
They lowered taxes.
Because Trump forced them to.
I
backed them into a corner on that one.
They also got rid of net neutrality. That was exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Woo! A lot of good that's done us. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. There may or may not be this bushel of apple things
anyway
forward, because I'm just
so not.
And like you said, the Biden trap. This is old news for me. It's just Congress is now saying, "Hey, yeah, it exists." Well, yeah, we told you it existed 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, we've known about this since Trump's first impeachment. Like,
that's
at least and that's just when it was like widely known.
And that's all because, well, maybe there is something behind this thing he's doing with Ukraine. Let's go look at Ukraine. Holy crap, the Bidens are all over this thing. Oh, no, it's all about Trump.
Yeah. Anyway, so if we don't talk about the Biden crime stuff, that probably leaves Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Gruesome?
Yeah.
Gavin Gruesome?
Suing the school
Gruesome?
district.
There we go.
So one thing I really don't understand, I don't understand why the LGBTQ LMNOP community demands so much affirmation. You know, like as a man that takes my religion very seriously, I am totally fine if people think my religion is stupid. Like, why can't we just live in a country where we respect each other as members of the same, society, but just accept, like, okay, you think my religion is stupid, I think your religion is stupid.
It'd be one thing if they would laugh as they're made fun of, just as I laugh when jokes are made at my religion's expense.
Sure, yeah.
But they don't.
No.
In fact, they want you to go to jail if you laugh at them, because that's not at all fascist.
Not at all. They seem a little insecure.
I scrolled down on the story, and there's the tweet from Gavin Newsom where he shares the news article. The news article, Temecula school board president calls Harvey Milk pedophile. Because he was. Before banning the curriculum and books about Harvey Milk in the school libraries and such. Gavin Newsom, an offensive statement from an ignorant person. This isn't Texas or Florida. Yeah, no. In the Golden State, our kids have the freedom to learn, which is why you must learn exactly the thing I say or else. No, oh, sorry, that's not what he said. Congrats, Mr. Kromsky. You have our attention. Stay tuned. Our kids have the freedom to learn. Okay, we choose not to learn this. No, you have to learn this. Your freedom says so. And to be clear, a society deciding certain books and material shouldn't be in an elementary school library, middle school library, high school library, is not banning that material. It's saying that material is inappropriate for this age group. Case in point, when Ron DeSantis was questioned about what he did in Florida, he held a press conference, invited all the press that was criticizing him for banning all the gay stuff in the schools. And as soon as they all got there and set up, they had their live streams and video calls and whatever set up. He opens up the books that they were criticizing him for banning, and they cut the feed because it was too graphic for television.
Give me a break. And Gavin Newsom has said, no, in the Golden State, the kids are free to learn.
Yes.
And you can't even show like the material in those books on public television.
Nope. You cannot. Yeah, they're not saying that material can't be available at all. They're saying,
yeah, you can go to your local library.
It's not
to get
appropriate
that stuff.
for
You just can't go to your school library.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Exactly.
Actually, the local library is controversial as well, but like you can buy those books as much as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the book and teach it to your child yourself.
Yes. If it's that important to you, you'll find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the public school system, if it's that important to you...
Yeah, that's a good point. If it's important to your own kids, like, fine. You can go buy those books and, do that to your children on your own time. But if you're upset about it because it's not available to other people's kids, that means you're going after other people's kids.
Yep. Here's a good example. So in Utah, in high school, there's because of the way the credits needed to graduate are set up, there's a free period available each semester, whatever, quarter semester. And during that time in Utah, a lot of people go to seminary.
Yep. It's awesome.
To learn about LDS teachings and all that stuff during school time. The school does not pay for the seminary building, does not pay the salary for the instructors there, anything like that. They are completely separate. The building is next door to the school most of the time, depending on the area. And students are free to go there for that free period hour, in which the school, you still have to tell the school where the student is going for that time. So they know that, so they can legally keep track of where the kids are at. But there's people in Utah that are upset that there's seminary. That's separation of church and state. It's completely separate. Well, where's the Catholic thing? Make a Catholic seminary.
Like you could
make
you
a
could
Buddhist seminary. That doesn't. We don't care.
Yep.
It's a free period for the students to do whatever. And if you choose not to do that, you can graduate early.
Yep.
Well, that's forcing your things. No, it's how the community has decided they want to teach their kids.
Yep.
And so they've set up a system that allows that to happen while also not forcing kids to be taught what they don't want to be taught. They can opt out of it, even.
Yep.
And there's
Isn't that
no
the way?
and there's no opt out of the opt out. Maryland. So that is the bushel for this week, and possibly the last. We'll see.
The last bushel?
I don't know. We'll see if something actually happens. But yeah.
Thanks, Satan.
It's 13, actually.
All right. Shifting gears. Taking a swig of beverage. A couple of questions popped into my mind this week, and they are the same questions, but different emphasis. The two questions: what is America, and what is America? The two questions I have. And I was pondering this, and I thought it was interesting that this came to mind because in theaters this weekend, I think were 3 different depictions of America at the top of the charts. Number 1 was Barbie. Number 2 was Oppenheimer. And number 3 was Sound of Freedom. Barbie being a depiction of, I guess, kind of Hollywood pop culture greatness or whatever that America built. Oppenheimer being a very now controversial thing that America did. And Sound of Freedom being something where it shows the good and bad side of humanity and also kind of the good and bad of America, because America participates heavily in sex trafficking minors.
Unfortunately.
But it is also the greatest fighter against trafficking of minors. So with that in mind, before we go into answering that question, I want to read one thing to you guys. And see if you've heard this before. A hint, it is related to Oppenheimer. Read this carefully, as it may save your life or the life of a relative or friend. In the next few days, some or all of the cities named on the reverse side will be destroyed by American bombs. These cities contain military installations and workshops or factories which produce military goods. We are determined to destroy all of the tools of the military clique which they are using to prolong this useless war. But unfortunately, bombs have no eyes, so in accordance with America's humanitarian policies, the American Air Force, which does not wish to injure innocent people, now gives you warning to evacuate the cities named and save your lives. America is not fighting the Japanese people, but is fighting the military clique which has enslaved the Japanese people. The peace which America will bring will free the people from the oppression of the military clique and mean the emergence of a new and better Japan. You can restore peace by demanding new and good leaders who will end the war. We cannot promise that only these cities will be among those attacked, but some or all of them will be. So heed this warning and evacuate these cities immediately.
How was that message distributed back in the day?
Candy bummers.
Just about, yeah. B-29s, before the bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a fleet of B-29s dropped, 4 million leaflets?
Something like that, yeah.
Over 4 cities, the 4 main targets for these bombs. Ahead of time, mentioning when it's going to happen as well.
Wow.
To let people know, we are not at war with you, the people. We're at war with your military.
Yeah.
And your military has heavy targets in these areas that we are going to destroy with the sun.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if there's any kind of historical context as to how many people actually heeded the warning. I wouldn't blame people for ignoring it because nothing like this has been done before. On top of that, can you name another country that has warned the country they're at war with that they're about to destroy that country?
No. They just kind of do it. That's like the history of the world.
So yes, part of America's history.
I'm sure Russia warned Ukraine before they invaded.
They dropped some leaflets. Yeah. Sent a tweet. But yes,
pigeon,
I mean, sure. I'm absolutely positive that Tucker dropped some leaflets before the presidential interviews he did a couple weeks ago.
Save yourself.
My war is not with the people of America.
Asa Hutchins did not heed that warning.
It did not.
But yes, it is true that America has in its past dropping 2 atomic bombs on the sovereign nation of Japan, killing tons of people and absolutely destroying those 2 cities. However, it is also true that America did everything in its power to avoid as many casualties as possible, including radio broadcasts. We're involved in that as well. Constantly relaying to sending signals to Japan, hopefully getting into their radio waves, warning people that this is coming.
Yep.
Because at this point, Japan had 0 Air Force. Whatever planes they had, they were used as suicide bombers because the pilots could not pilot. They were just, hey, can you move the stick around? Yeah, all right, you're a pilot now, go. That's why they started kamikaze, because they were running out of fuel, they were running out of ammunition, running out of bombs, running out of skilled pilots. So go commit suicide. It's a great honor. That's what they told them.
Yeah.
And on top of that, intel that the Americans had of Japan was the military and the emperor were telling the people of Japan to arm themselves and fight to every last woman and child against the American invaders. So Americans going into this knew if they couldn't make them stop now, they'd have to invade Japan and start fighting women and children against very well-prepared, battle-seasoned Marines. And the death toll would have been enormous. So yeah, a complicated past for the nation of America, where there is both good and bad.
Yeah.
Often right next to each other. One usually gets overshadowed by the other. So anyways, with the questions I mentioned before, let's start with what is America, as in the American dream, the original goal or point of America. Let's go to
the mall.
The mall.
Let's go to the mall. Robin Sparkles.
So one thing that initially comes to mind for me with American Dream is a lot of kind of what the GIs had after World War II of the American Dream of coming home, wife and kids, white picket fence, a house to themselves, a car, all this stuff, their own property. And if you go and look at the Declaration of the Constitution, that's entirely aligned with the American Dream of right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, original draft, property.
Yeah.
Until the slave owners got involved and they're like, probably don't say property. And doing so completely breaks up the idea of what was there in the past of a feudal system, basically, of you own nothing, the king owns everything, which completely cripples any spark of motivation, because if you create something new, it belongs to the king.
Yeah.
And you don't get to see any benefit from it.
So why create something new?
Create something new? Hence the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
So, Keith.
Yeah.
What comes to your mind with that thing of the goal, the original point?
Yeah. I mean, it's
American
freedom.
dream.
The way to live your life in accordance to the moral principles that got you there.
Like such as
religion.
Mhm.
Like I would say, like I would argue that, like, yes, freedom is what makes America great, but in the sense of it also comes with responsibilities. And
Great
we take
power.
those, yeah, I mean, pretty much. Because, like, the way to maximize your freedom is to take your responsibilities seriously. And it is through a lot of individuals achieving their responsibilities that we actually create the best society for everyone.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
But like ultimately you have to choose those responsibilities. Like we can't pass a law that declares every man shall be a good father. Like that's just not possible.
It's not something you can mandate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that's taught. And
so the question is what is the basis upon which people are good fathers? And I would say that the answer to that is good morals and values to work towards, which you cannot. Well, okay, I'm being a little bit rod here, but like you need to have purpose in order to do that. And I would argue that religion is the best way to achieve those results.
So it makes you answer to something above yourself that's not government.
Yeah, it gives you a purpose beyond yourself.
Yeah.
Because without that purpose, then like, what's the point? Why don't you just do everything for yourself? But that creates a hoarding mentality that just when multiplied by, everyone, it just creates a worse society. And so people are left a lot less free than they would have been had they just taken on those responsibilities.
Right. Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a quote that's at the tip of my mind, and I can't.
The tongue of his tip.
Yes, exactly. I can't recall exactly what it is, but it's essentially it's along the lines of you can't tax someone into prosperity, but it's you can't force someone to be a good person. Basically, you can't force someone to respect you. You can't force someone to love you.
Yeah.
You can't exercise force and expect people to.
Is it Winston Churchill?
I think so.
I contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle.
That's a good one too, but that's not the one I was thinking.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
It literally the one that I'm trying to think of. It talks about forcing people to do things, and that it never works because the more you push, the more people push back. Basic law of physics.
Adrian Rogers. Poor people, rich people.
Possibly.
You cannot legislate the poor into prosperity by legislating the wealthy out of prosperity.
That's a good one, too.
What one person receives without working for another person must work for without receiving. The government cannot give to anybody anything that the government does not first take from somebody else.
Anyway. It's got to be one of those.
Yeah, no, I lost my train of...
I'm sorry. I broke it. I broke it.
Yep, you broke me. You
can't force people to be prosperous.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it all essentially comes down to the only tool that government has in its tool belt is force.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's the only thing it's ever had. And the founding fathers realized that, and they built a system very particularly to combat that. And we've shot it to hell.
We fed the beast.
And that's sad, but there's still the glimmer of hope there. And I don't know, have you guys ever seen the movie Field of Dreams?
Yes.
Love that movie.
No.
You've never seen Field of Dreams?
I think I may
Kevin
have seen
Costner?
it.
You uncultured swine.
You uncultured swine.
I may have seen it when I was like 6 or something, but no. For the most part, now. I know the quote, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, if you build it, they will come. Field of Dreams, one of my favorite movies growing up. And not because I particularly like baseball at all.
That's how much he likes
That's how much I like it. I don't remember what sport it was. But because of the simple concepts that it fostered, if you build it, they will come. It's the effort leads to reward. It's the dreams of people coming together is what makes it awesome.
Yeah.
And baseball was a big part of that. And baseball as a sport historically is phenomenal to look at. The amount of hope that it's given people, the sense of community, all the different things that it's done it's unique among sports, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really is a really interesting sport to look at. But yeah, like I said, I lost my entire train of thought there at that first quote. So
yeah. Well, it's on my list. It's on my list. You see, like my strategy when it comes to movies, I'm playing the long game. I'm not watching all the best movies so that when something like a Hollywood Strikes comes along, I'll have stuff to watch.
Oh, is that what it is?
I haven't watched
the long game. What happens if you die before you see all these movies?
Oh, for shame.
Then I can pass on my list to someone.
You'll get up to the pearly gates. He'll be looking through. Whoa, hold on. You haven't seen Field of Dreams. I'm sorry, Keith. You're gonna be sitting around for a while.
It's like there have got to be showings in heaven.
So
there's got to be showings in heaven.
Yeah. What about you, Trev?
I think it's back to like we've talked about before with like Alexis de Tocqueville. America is great because America is good. He didn't actually say that, but that's kind of where it's generally attributed to, is to him, but it's not. So you look at what the founders did initially. I was in St. George, went to museum that Glenn Beck Mercury One put on, and they had Jefferson's original draft of the Constitution of the Declaration on display.
Whoa!
So you could see his little handwriting. You can see the scratch out stuff where Ben Franklin put his notes and Thomas Jefferson put his notes and edits and all that stuff on there, and the giant freaking staring in your face paragraph of how terrible the king is for having slavery in the colonies.
Yeah.
Written by Jefferson's hand. You see all this kind of stuff where the guys that we all remember actually were trying to create the greatest and best nation that could exist on earth. Yeah. To the point where they said, in order to create a more perfect union, realizing that what they created was not perfect, nor ever will be perfect, but would always strive to be perfect. Which, Christ tells you to do that.
Yeah.
Huh. And to Keith's point of the good morals, good principles, and with Mike, the size of government being the only thing they have is force. One of the first things Continental Congress decided to do was print the Bible for use of schools. It's one of the first things they did once they became an actual nation. And a copy of that was also at the museum, the Atkins Bible.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered the quote.
Go on.
So speaking of tangents,
sorry.
And fields all the way in the left.
The excessive use of force creates legitimacy problems, and force without legitimacy leads to defiance, not submission.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah. So, back then, Congress and President and Supreme Court had very little force available to them in the early days of the nation. So they used what little force they did have to do things like print a Bible for use of schools, to establish Christian missions in Native American lands, to build churches in Native American territory. Why? Because what little force they had, they used to promote Judeo-Christian values. Well, every Christian thing goes to war and all that stuff. Yes, except you look at the Treaty of Tripoli, and it says in there with was it Jefferson that was in charge during that time? The Treaty of Tripoli says that we are not a Christian nation. See, there you go. But you read it in all context, and they're saying we're not a Christian nation like every other nation that you Islamic people have been fighting.
Yeah.
We are a Christian nation in that you can be Muslim over here so long as you abide by Judeo-Christian principles, which a good chunk of are in Islamic religion. So it's not really a stretch to say, hey, just don't kill each other. Just because they think different than you. So they used what little force they had to do things that promoted good, strong Judeo-Christian morals and principles, where people believed the government, whatever the president is doing, does not affect my daily life. My daily life depends on my relationship with my God.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing is what made it to where America became the city on the hill, to the point where the French sent a giant statue to be built in New York that the whole world recognized as a light to be followed. And it is interesting as you go through American history and world history, you can see the world turn to and away from America as America turns to and away from God. George Washington failed and failed and failed and failed until Valley Forge. What happened in Valley Forge? Well, we know about the prayer at Valley Forge. We know about that because of a guy that was on the other side that saw him praying and said, we're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And that is where George Washington turned his heart to God more so than he did before. And then he started winning battle after battle after battle after battle. And then the world revered George Washington and his leadership. Abraham Lincoln. Initially, it wasn't all about slavery for him. It was about keeping the Union together and all that stuff. And they lost, 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 and they lost until Gettysburg. What happened at Gettysburg? Well, he renewed the promise of George Washington to follow God. And then they won, and 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 they won. Ronald Reagan, when he appeared in the 80s, 70s, and part of his messaging, a big part of his messaging was turning back to the original principles of God. And it was in all of his stuff. And when his campaign switched to that, he won, and he won. And the world turned to America again, saying, look at what they're doing. World War II. The Allies were losing. America comes in, still losing. And then we get stories like we covered before of Patton and others commanding his using force to promote good principles. Pray and fast for good weather so we can win.
Yeah.
And they did. And they did. And they did. And America becomes a superpower after that. And the world turns again to America. Every time. Every time. And now where are we? Not.
We are losing and losing and losing and losing.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
To the point where August 22nd might be the end of the U.S. dollar as the world currency.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's when BRICS is announcing their
the digital currency
new
thing.
currency that's backed by gold and physical assets.
So what you're saying is I need to divest myself of all American dollars.
What I'm
now
saying
and the end
is
of August.
there's a good chance it's going to get real bumpy real quick if there's not a real turn to real morals.
Yeah.
Nazi fags.
But that kind of thing with America has instilled those good morals that using little force to promote those good morals has what boosted America up to where we produce more with less, we have more with less. We do all this stuff more than the rest of the world, and the rest of the world slowly starts adapting the things that we do because we prove over and over again that it works to let the individual be an individual. And now the world is turning away from us because we're saying that the collective is better than the individual, even if that collective is less than the numerous individuals that are against the collective. And the world is turning away from America and looking towards anything else, to the point where many of them are looking towards the individual. Because notice they're not saying, well, in Europe they do this, in Europe they do this, because Europe is going in the other direction that America is going. Anyways, I guess that's my rambling on of kind of the American dream, the point of America, the original goal. It's to show that we can. It's to show that the individual can govern themselves, and it's a better society for it. So long as there are those good, wholesome principles.
Well,
does that sufficeth? Sufficeth to say.
Sufficeth to say.
The other part of that question, the what America has been, what it's become, what it could be. I guess I kind of rambled into that a little bit. But we'll go back around the table. Keith.
Yes. Like, what is it now?
What America has been, has become, and what it could be.
So I remember back when I was growing up, like in the 90s, I remember there were a lot of issues today that like we couldn't even fathom.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, like the concept of gay marriage. Like I remember first hearing about it when I was a kid, and I'm like, what even is that?
Right.
And it was so hard for me to wrap my head around that. Like now you're like required to celebrate it, you know. And transgenderism, I didn't hear about transgenderism until like 2015 or something like that. Like I didn't even know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But my point that I'm making is I remember that like the church standards were pretty well aligned with the world standards. I mean, culturally speaking, like not the fringes, like
Right.
like all of the terrible things that is pretty mainstream nowadays. Like there were fringes back then, but like generally speaking, I feel like the culture was pretty. Like the culture had standards.
There was
and
a
that's
lot
just general.
There was a lot of syncreticity between them. Yes.
Yeah, and now like you can't, you know, you can't turn around with someone waving like a pride flag in your face.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that itself is its own religion, and it's literally established to be an anti-religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is literally the point of it.
And it destroys individualism because you have to conform to something.
Yeah, well, again, they preach individualism, but it actually does the opposite because you have to conform to the secular like worldview. Or
you have
whatever.
to adopt their language. You have to
Mhm.
adopt their colors. You have to all that stuff. And if you don't, then you're not actually that.
Yeah,
thing.
and so that's something that baffles me about these people that are freeing themselves from a religion. Again, we went over this on the Satanist episode that we had a while back, but it's very contradictory because even if you think you're with a group of friends that don't have any social expectations of each other, that's total bullcrap. Like, of course, you and your non-judgmental friends definitely have expectations and standards for each other. Otherwise, you wouldn't be friends.
It's true.
And that is true for literally every single group of people or group of friends. You have to conform to certain standards if you're going to have any group, like social group.
Otherwise,
And-
you have nothing that brings you together.
Yeah, and human beings require social groups. So whether you are a bunch of miserable people that are, celebrating sin together, or if you are trying to be all accepting or whatever, together, like your rejection of the belief system is what brings you together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Among other things. And so people that are leaving religion because like they feel like the social rules are just too judgmental or whatever. It's like, okay, we'll pick another, society. Anyway, point is, there used to be a culture that was centered around morals, and now it's almost like a free-for-all type thing going on, and people are wondering why we don't feel connected to other human beings anymore.
Right.
It's because we don't have anything connecting other human beings.
We're more connected than we've ever been, and we've never been more disconnected.
Yeah, because of social media. Like, social media actually criticizes the things that bring people together. I mean, again, I talked about this in the in this suicidal ideation episode.
Right.
That rituals, things like the 4th of July barbecue, things like going to church, things like, holding a door open for a woman as a sign of respect. Like, all of those things are being criticized by the left and by this, like, leftist culture that is becoming more and more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And that is disconnecting everyone from each other, and we wonder why people feel so disconnected.
Right.
So anyway, point is, this is not sustainable. The direction that we're going is just simply not sustainable. Like, you can't have, what is it, like 25% of the latest generation identifying as LGBT, and at the same time they're saying that it has a very high suicide rate within that ideology.
Right.
Like, this is just not sustainable. You cannot, and you also cannot have an upcoming generation that is not getting married and having children. Like, the amount of sacrifice required to be a parent and be a good parent at that, you can be a good parent and not take your religion super seriously, but I really don't see how you could be self-centered, which is ultimately what a non-religion nation preaches, and be a good parent. Like, I really don't see how you can do that.
Right.
So this is not sustainable, what we're doing right now. So something has to change, and I'm sure something will change. I think either there will be some sort of religious revival where people find the fulfillment that comes, like on a massive scale, of religion. Like, maybe we'll see the fruits of all the divorce and just, not being able to live up to the standards that being a parent requires, and the children of those bad parents are going to not want that.
Mm-hmm.
What led to that.
Right.
And so maybe they will turn to religion after that, or society will just be unsustainable for a while. Like, cops are overwhelmed. So if crime happens, you just kind of have to deal with it,
right.
Screw you type thing.
Right.
So something like that is going to happen. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like we're at a place because on the political front, people are saying, like, we need another Reagan, or we need another Washington, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not what we need, because we already had them.
Yeah.
This is different. We need someone different, but who has a lot of those qualities from the great leaders of our past, but we need someone specifically for this time.
Yeah.
We don't need another Washington, because we already have that example to lean on.
Yeah.
We already have a Reagan to lean on. We already have a Lincoln to lean on. We already have all these guys, and we're standing on their shoulders, like I've said before, standing on their shoulders and saying that we're flying. And great will be the fall.
Yeah.
if we don't realize that.
I remember during the Kavanaugh hearings, I was so emotionally invested into that process, because there was news every day, but the news that would come out every day was pretty inconsequential compared to it. Like, I should have just tuned out until the actual vote happened.
Right.
But But no, like literally anyway, it just wore me out. I'm like, I cannot be so emotionally invested. It's like, oh, do we have 51 senators or is it 52 senators that are going to vote for the, like, what I realize is really not having enough senators to vote for a particular bill. That's an outgrowth of the culture of the people.
Yes.
You know, like, if we are screwed, we're screwed because of the people. You know, like, if the people were more righteous, they would be able to elect better leaders that were less corrupt, and they would demand that of their leaders.
Washington is a reflection of.
Yeah, I would say that ultimately the leaders that we pick is a reflection of the people.
Well, it's just so corrupt that they just get in.
That's because we've allowed it to be so.
Yeah,
we just expect it to be that way. So
yeah,
it is.
So a lot of, you know, I'm not going to point too many. I'm not saying that all the voters that vote in these politicians are evil or whatever.
Right.
I'm just going to say there is a lot of ignorance, and there is a lot of how do I put this? Hijacking movements. That's what I think a lot of Democrat voters are. Like, they say, oh no, we're going to fight for the people or whatever. And like, they believe those promises, but then they get into office and they give us 10% inflation.
Right.
You know, which screws over the poor the most.
Right.
You know, but for some reason they still believe that those are the people that will get them the most short-term gain. And so they keep voting for those people, you know, so it's just, yeah. The system is broken, but like the particulars is a reflection of the people, and something has to change. Otherwise we are screwed because of the people in our society.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
Who are you? It's so wise in the ways of science.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the question again?
It's
now that we've had the discourse.
What has America been? What is it now?
Great.
And what could it be?
Pretty good. Amazing.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Man, a few words. No, I mean, really, though, America has been one of the greatest experiments ever performed in the history of mankind. It's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, at least in my mind, that freedom will out. It's the way to go. It's the most advantageous all around in all things, you know. And you have to have order to it, but you have to have freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The world has advanced more in the few hundred years since the inception of the United States of America than it did for the thousands of years before.
Yeah.
The inception of America.
What's the book? The 7,000-year leap or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Or 10,000-year leap?
The 5,000 year.
5,000-year leap.
We advanced more. We advanced quickly, and it was all because of the freedom that America brought to the world for the first time. Because people weren't free. They weren't. They haven't been ever in the history of the world. The reason America had slaves when it began was because everyone had slaves
thanks to the Dutch.
As long as, you know, as long as history has been going on,
right,
people have been taking slaves.
Yeah. The Romans, the Greeks, all of them.
Every culture in history prior to America took slaves. Every single
Chinese,
one of them.
Japanese.
Yeah. So, you know, you can sit there and badmouth America as much as you want, but without America, we don't have the modern world, period. It doesn't exist. So America has been great. It has not only been great, it has been the best to ever exist. Hands down, without question.
Yeah.
So what it could be in the future is, I mean, we're coming up on a fork in the road. It's going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to completely fall apart and we're going to have another Dark Ages, or we're going to have a Field of Dreams moment. If you build it, they will come. And if somebody builds it, so many will come.
Well, we already got 7 million people in the last couple of years. Well, how many more do you need to come?
I think he's talking ideologically.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, not the border. Gotcha. What, I guess, what is it that needs to be built?
A vision.
Well, not just a vision, but a safe place for freedom. You know, because America's been that for a long time, and people have flocked to it for a long time, and it's no longer that. It's been falling apart for years now, and I mean, we played that advertisement for Hung Cow, which, by the way, it's still hilarious to me that his thing at the end there is text hung to 21412.
We'll do it.
I almost feel like that's a troll to get you arrested for sexual assault or something. that guy must have had a really fun time in the military. Anyway, he went through and he talks about these things that a lot of people are chalking it up to conspiracy, but it's happening. It's happening right in front of our eyes. We have the most openly corrupt president in the history of the United States in office, not being challenged by anyone.
Yeah.
You know, we have senators and representatives that are blatantly abusing their power. We have a DOJ that's blatantly abusing its power. We have all of these things in our government and in our country that are just so openly out of control that it's very obvious that America is not a safe place for freedom anymore. So what we need to build is a safe place for freedom. What we need to build is a place where that's not welcome anymore.
I have an idea.
Uh-oh.
A smart city.
Commie bastard. I think that's very much true, because going into this election, it's a good handful of senators are up for election. The entire House is up for election, and the president is up for election.
Yeah.
But there's not, as of yet, there's not a unified thing that any group of representatives are running behind. The closest thing we got is the in the House, was it 12 representatives that resisted
Caucus?
That resisted McCarthy. His nomination as Speaker of the House. That's the closest thing we got so far. And that was basically just cobbled together last minute.
Yep.
Meanwhile, looking back on America's history, every time a big change has happened, there's been something to unify behind. With the American Revolution, they created the Declaration of Independence for something to unify behind. And even then, it was only 15, 20, maybe 30% of the population that actually agreed entirely with the Declaration of Independence. Then it was 15, 20, 30% that were again that wanted to stay with the king, and the rest of them in the middle were just like, I don't care so long as I get to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, only a lot.
But right now, the most unified side is the side that's doing its damnedest to destroy this country.
Yep.
And the opposition to that is trying to figure out if now is a good time to impeach the leader of that, or if later is a good time to impeach the leader of that.
They always seem to go with later.
As he continues to drain our oil reserves as World War III is on the horizon because of something that he caused.
Right.
But with building something, again, looking back on what's united America, the space race, so we had something to unify with, to build something bigger and greater than ourselves, and also to beat the freaking Ruskies into getting a man to the moon and back safely. America united behind that, and because of that, all kinds of modern day things are available to us because America united behind the space race. Because America united behind the Declaration of Independence, freedom was something that could be had around the world. Because America united behind the message of Ronald Reagan, Morning in America, the world prospered greatly because America built tremendous wealth because of many of Reagan's policies.
Yeah.
But for looking for building something, I'm looking for a candidates, the president, Senate, House, that are willing to put their head on the line for this giant machine that's willing to destroy everything. I'm looking for candidates that are willing to say, hey, the corporate tax is too high in the United States. Let's bring it lower than anywhere else in the world. Mm-hmm. And see what happens. Hey, the regulations on this, that, and the other are way too much. Let's slash them and see what happens.
Trump did a lot of those things.
I was in a conversation on a group chat with some friends because I didn't put them in the bushel. The Biden administration's looking at getting rid of gas water heaters, and they're also looking at they're wanting to change some regulations with the climate agency, whatever they're called, that would basically make it impossible to have mobile gas generators, which would then make you have to have all electric power and all electric water heating. They want to get rid of your gas stove, so electric stove. So if you want to have clean hot water and cook food, you have to be dependent on the government to have that. Because if you have gas, any of that stuff, you can disconnect from the grid. Or if the power goes out, you can still have power. You can still heat your home, heat your food, have hot water. But what if... so we were talking about that in this group chat, and nuclear energy came up because in reality, that's the only real way forward in creating clean, reliable, amazing energy.
Yeah.
But nuclear technology has been stagnant since the 60s.
Yep.
Because of regulations.
Yep. No, I think a new nuclear power plant hasn't been started and finished in the United States for like 30 years.
Yeah, since like 70 something, I think.
Okay, make that 40.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Welcome to 2020.
Yeah.
And I pointed out to this group that if regulations were taken off of nuclear anything, power, energy, we've talked about it before, that company in Idaho that can make a nuclear reactor that's the size of a shoebox.
Yep. Awesome.
Game changing. Because they say if it works out, it would generate enough power to power an entire block of houses.
Yeah.
But their idea with it is to have it power tractor trailers. So now the tractor trailers run on electric motors and are generating 0 emissions with unlimited power, driving on the interstate.
Well, it could have a meltdown and... No, it couldn't actually harm anything because it never has harmed anyone. Well, Chernobyl, your best example is the USSR, which is notorious for not having any kind of safety precautions or any kind of care for its workers or any kind of care for anything. And
for real, though.
And built things as horribly as possible, as cheaply as possible, so they could get it done as quickly as possible. But anyways, if there was no regulations on nuclear energy, we could have things like that. And then we can go from nuclear fusion or nuclear fission to nuclear fusion, which is incredibly more powerful and incredibly cleaner. And if done right, could be incredibly safer. Could be. But we don't know because it's basically all theory right now. And then once you have nuclear fusion, you can start working on cold fusion, which would be immensely safer. But outside of that, once you're able to understand nuclear fusion, you can start creating new elements and new materials, which could have untold benefits to society. We might find something that conducts electricity way better than copper. And so we lose less energy in transferring power between cities and power plants.
That'd be sweet.
And we could find things like that. And then on top of that, those kinds of technologies...
Like FedNow, but for energy.
Yeah, if we could do that, then we would solve global warming.
But and then on top of that, discovering things like nuclear fusion can lead to space flight on a more regular basis, where we're able to actually fly between Earth and the moon on a regular basis with little to no energy. As far as the
costs.
As far as the cost and the size of the energy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need massive rockets to get you out there. You'd have a ball of plutonium, uranium, whatever, to boost a rocket,
a
spaceship out into space. And based off of what happened with the space race, once we start exploring space and building stuff like that, we start learning new things and how they work, which improves life for us here on Earth. But we can't do that because of regulations. So a candidate that's willing to just slash everything. Candidates that are willing to slash everything, that are willing to take a hit, that are willing to realize, hey, if we do this, the military-industrial complex isn't going to be as strong as it used to be, and I'm not going to get as much money in my coffers from Lockheed Martin, because if we do this, then they're not the number one guy to go to anymore. Well, if we do this, then I'm not going to get as much money off of the green energy stuff. The ones that are willing to just take that hit are the ones that we should be looking for.
Yeah.
The ones that are willing to say society is messed up. We're messed up because we messed up. And we need to turn to something bigger than ourselves to make things right. Those are the candidates we should be looking for. Maybe it's Trump. Maybe it's DeSantis. Maybe it's Hung Cow.
I really hope it's Hung.
Unfortunately, it sounds like he's not eligible to be president, but
just because President Cow has a ring to it.
Don't have a cow. What did you say?
Our president is hung.
But
just in case anyone was wondering.
But my fair
the jokes are endless.
Endless. So that, I guess that's the optimistic outlook I have for the U.S. is, like you both have said, there needs to be, and there is coming, a pivot point, a decision point. And my fear is, with how great America has been, is how bad America can be going forward. With the technology we have and the course we're on with censoring and blocking and unlawfully doing things to people from society on up to government, Hitler would be rosy jealous of the things America could do.
Seriously.
So, with great power comes great responsibility. We are a choice land, and we are a land where our leaders in the past have made promises or covenants with a God greater than government to follow him, and in return, he would bless and protect. And it's happened 3 times in American history, I believe, is the number. And each of the 3 times that promise was made, America prospered. Every single time America's turned away from those promises, things got iffy at best. We need to turn. We need to turn quick.
Stop it. Get some help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Get some help.
Get some help.
That's it. I think. Unless any final word?
Nope.
Last word? Nope.
Nope.
Hopefully that was in.
We could have a quick note from our president, El Presidente La Vice.
Nazi fags.
Oh, jeez. Put that away.
Yeah, hopefully that was enlightening conversation of sorts. Makes you think, hopefully. Share it with some friends. Try to get them to think, please.
Please.
For the love of all that is holy, get people to think for themselves.
Yes.
Well, I believe this. When? When did you believe that? Because you didn't before. What's the information you've learned that's made you decide that, yes, it's okay for kids to chop their parts off? When did that change? What was it? Make them think, because, yeah.
Millstones.
Millstones.
Make them great again.
Pass them around. 1 for you, 10 for you. Like, subscribe, follow. We're on whatever Twitter's called now.
G.
10.
10.
10.
10.
10. Just keep tweeting Elon Musk. So about this new 10 website you've created. No, it's not a new website. It used to be Twitter. It's X. Right, 10.
Right, 10. Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah. Do all the following. Share some stuff with us if you so desire. We'll most likely look at it. But no promises. We'll look at it.
We'll probably look at it.
Whether or not we agree is a whole nother thing, but we'll look at it. With all that, bye!
Sure, why not?
Screw it, we'll do it live.
He's got the clap and he's giving it to you. I could barely hear that, though. Better.
One of those sides. Is this side better than this side?
One of those.
Which side?
44, 45, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Have you never seen that movie? It's a Money Pit with...
Nope.
Oh, frick. Who was in that? I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen that movie.
Someone.
Such a good movie, though.
I'd say look it up, but apparently the internet doesn't exist tonight.
Apparently the internet does not exist tonight.
It's going to do our best with no internet. At least for the PCs, computer stuffs.
It's not much better on the phone right now. It was Tom Hanks. I was right. It was Tom Hanks.
You remember the days of dial-up where, you know, you go to somewhere and it's got a picture on it, and so you have to wait for the picture to load line by line on your computer screen?
Yes. Yes, I do remember that. I do.
Why does this article have a picture?
and now if your images don't load in less than 1.2 seconds when your website comes up, you get like a 75% bounce rate. Of people just like, oh, it's not loading, and just leave.
There's no picture.
There's no picture. It's not worth waiting. It's not worth waiting the 2 seconds.
My, how the turns have tabled.
My, how the turns have tabled.
That and picking up the phone and listening to the internet.
What the hell is even that?
Says anybody born after 2015.
Exactly. All right, well, let's get this hoe on the show. This show on the road.